first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get a couple tablespoons of butter melting. And I'm going to start sauteing. This is just about 1/4 cup of finely diced onion. I don't want big pieces because we need to get it all stuffed into a mushroom. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to clean our mushrooms. And I like to use the nice bigger stuffing mushrooms, or at least if we're going to use, you don't want the real little ones. Medium-sized ones are okay, but when you bake them, they really shrink down. So either the nice big stuffing mushrooms or at least good-sized mushrooms. And I'm using the baby Bellas today, which are delicious, but even just button mushrooms will work great too. So the best way to clean mushrooms is just a moist, damp kitchen cloth or paper towel. And normally they're actually pretty clean these days, but you don't want any of that dirt to get in there. And don't throw out the stems. We're going to actually use those and saute those with our onions. So basically, I'm going to take out the stems and just give them a little bit of a wipe. You don't want to run these under running water because we want these to actually roast in the oven. And we don't want them to be really wet. So just a damp cloth. And they're pretty tender, these guys. So, and by the way, this is going to make a good, depending on the size of your mushrooms, a good couple dozen appetizers. If you're using these big guys, it's going to use, make less, but people won't be eating as many. I like to actually, if you're going to actually plate these and do them as a plated hors d'oeuvre for Thanksgiving, like maybe you're going to do the Thanksgiving dinner in courses, starting with an hors d'oeuvre like this, and maybe a salad and a soup, and then bringing on the rest of the feast. 1 or 2 per person of these big guys on a plate will do you. Now, if you're going to be kind of passing these and people are going to do more of a finger food, you're going to want to do just, these are giant mushrooms, so you're going to want to do a little bit smaller so that you can just, people can just pick them up and do 1 or 2 bites. These are more of a knife and fork kind of stuffing mushrooms, the big guys, which are fantastic too. Okay, so these stems, I just want to get those in there too. I don't want to throw those out. Lots of great flavors. So we're actually going to just give them a rough chop. And get them in with our onions and let them saute a little bit. Hey, I hope you'll come out and see me. I've got lots and lots of holiday book signings and fun events going on. I'm actually going to be in New London Friday afternoon between 5 and 6:30. It's ladies' night. They're going to kick off their holiday shopping Friday afternoon in New London. I'll be at Familiar Grounds, a coffee shop there. So come on, warm up, have a cup of coffee with me, and join me. It's going to be a ton of fun. And that's Friday from 5 to 6:30. And then Saturday, the shopping season begins. I'll be at Cook's Corner from 11 to 12:30. Lots of stuff going on at Cook's Corner in Ashwaubenon. The new store is gorgeous, so come on out and see me on Saturday. Oh, it's starting to smell good. Okay. I just want to let those cook just for, a few minutes on kind of low, medium heat. Just until the onions and the mushrooms get soft, and we're almost there. All right, now we're going to work on the rest of the filling. So this is my big secret weapon, especially during the holidays. This, if you're not familiar with it, is to die for. It's called Boursin, and it's a garlic and herb cream cheese. I try and keep this in my fridge at all times during the holidays because sometimes people will just pop over. The neighbors will pop over to bring a loaf of bread or some cookies or something like that. And I love to say, well, come on in, have a glass of wine. And I pull out some cheeses, some grapes, open a package of this, put out some crackers, and you've got an instant hors d'oeuvre. It's absolutely fantastic. Warning, it's a little bit pricey, about $4 to $5 for one of these, but it's so worth it. It's also fantastic in lots and lots and lots of different recipes. Put it in with mashed potatoes, and all of a sudden you have the most wonderful garlic and herb mashed potatoes. Just really cranks up that flavor. I just use it in a ton of different recipes besides just putting it on a tray with cheese and crackers. So in this case, I'm going to use it as kind of the cream cheese binder to bind the stuffing together. Now, if it's a little over your budget or you can't find it, which, by the way, just about any grocery store I know will carry it. It's kind of in that finer cheese section of the grocery store. You can just actually take some cream cheese, whip it up, and throw some garlic and herbs in there and kind of make your own. Won't be exactly the same as this stuff. This stuff is amazing, but it's a good close second. Okay, so in go our sauteed vegetables. In goes our package of boursin, and it's really soft and spreadable. That's what makes it really nice. So that's why if you're going to make your own with regular cream cheese, you really need to whip it up or buy the tubs of whipped cream cheese and then put your garlic and herbs in that. Okay, then we've got these are just a can of artichoke hearts, quartered artichoke hearts that we've drained, and I'm also going to just give those a rough chop. Again, we don't want big pieces. We got to stuff this in mushrooms. So now my game plan for Thanksgiving is to get as much done ahead of time. My son Riley is going to be home from college. Super excited about that. I talked about that yesterday, how the holidays are just that much more special when you've got a family member who's not at home and they're coming home for the holidays. So we're excited about it. I'm sure we'll be ready to send him back to school when Sunday rolls around. But anyway, he's a little messy. But you didn't hear that from me. But if you have a college student, you know how that is. They also really like to sleep in, like serious sleep in. Okay, I keep reminding myself, yep, I was a college student too. Yeah, I like to sleep in, and I probably wasn't the neatest in the world either. Okay. Wasn't? Yes, now I'm a neatnik. Oh. Okay, and then we've got some roasted red pepper. Again, I like this because of the flavor, and I'm not, taking the time. You certainly could roast your own pepper, but the stuff in the jar is pretty amazing. I think that one might do it. It's going to add some nice flavor and some color. That's another thing I try and keep in my pantry. Just great on salads and to put in certain recipes. And it's just going to kind of give that holiday color. I'm going to do a little bit more. So anyway, while I got to talking, and I seem to always get off track here, as much as I can get done ahead of time, I'm gonna. I don't want to be spending the entire Thanksgiving day in the kitchen the whole time. I want to be hanging out with my kids and relaxing and enjoying the day. So, there's certain things that you just can't do too much ahead of time. You can't really make the gravy too much ahead of time. You can't really make the turkey ahead of time. Some of those things you got to just pull out of the hat at the last minute. But certainly you can get hors d'oeuvres parked in your fridge, like these mushrooms stuffed, up to even 2 days before, and then you just throw them in your oven. I know for sure we're going to be watching the game, and we're going to want something fun to munch on. So the dips and the spreads and some of the hors d'oeuvre type things, you can totally get done ahead of time. I made that cauliflower soup, which I talked about, I think, slowing the meal down a little bit, having, instead of just one big fast food fest and then it's over, making a soup course or salad course to slow it down is really a nice idea. And the soups and the salad dressings, if you're making like a homemade vinaigrette, totally can be done a few days ahead of time. Get her done so that you don't have, 53 things going on Thanksgiving Day. You don't want that. You don't need that. Okay. So now we're going to start stuffing. And we're going to make a buttery breadcrumb topping. I'm just going to melt. The recipe, we did 2 tablespoons of butter with the onion and the mushroom stems. And by the way, you could, if you want to watch it a little bit, you could use olive oil. And then I'm going to do another 2 tablespoons of butter with just some dried Italian breadcrumbs. And that's going to be the breadcrumb topping, which is one of my favorite parts of this recipe. Yeah, okay, 10 more seconds. Okay. So we just basically take our mushroom stuffing mixture with the boursin, the artichoke hearts. And you notice I've got these in a dish so that they don't wobble all over the place. This was Ann's idea. Thank you, Ann. Thank you, Ann. All right. So we're going to stuff our mushrooms. Don't overstuff them, but these are pretty big guys. And these are killer. I promise you they are going to be a hit. Okay, so then we're going to take some of our breadcrumbs, our dry Italian breadcrumbs, with our melted butter. And I'm just going to mix that together, and it's a buttery breadcrumb topping. Again, if you wanted to keep it a little lighter, you could just omit the butter and just do the straight up breadcrumbs, or you could do olive oil in here. Parmesan cheese on top of all these babies, grated or shredded, whatever you have in the fridge, and then goes on our crumb topping. Again, these can get parked in the fridge. I would leave the crumb topping off until right before baking, but you can get them all stuffed and ready to roll, and then throw the Parmesan and the breadcrumbs on before baking. And then depending on the size of your mushrooms, anywhere between 15 and 30 minutes in a 350-degree oven. You want to serve these warm. You just do, because they're just better that way. Oh. These make me happy, and I think they're going to make everybody happy at your dinner too. I want to show them to you. Here we go, the ultimate stuffed mushrooms, stuffed with artichokes and red pepper and boursin cheese. Yum. We'll put the recipe on the website.